Stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, we'll do roll call. President here, Vice President here, Treasurer Jesse isn't here, Secretary Lexi isn't here, Baseball Commissioner,
Present.
Softball Commissioner,
Here.
Member at Large Dave Mancuso,
Present.
Member at Large Sky Blumke,
Here.
and Member at Large Dustin.
Here.
Okay. Did everybody get a chance to read over the minutes from October? Everybody look at them? Okay. I'd like to vote in the minutes from October.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Oppose? Okay. The President's report. I have a few things for new business, but we're getting to the end of the season. We worked on a schedule, and it looks like everything but 12U softball is going to end on the 13th. They're going to go to the 15th, and that was at their request, I believe. There are a couple other things that I'll go over in new business, but other than that, I've had compliments about the fields. I do have a few things they brought up, but people are noticing that the fields are being prepped a lot, really good. I think everybody's just doing a good job. It's been a really good season. I haven't had a whole lot of complaints, as far as unfair teams and all the stuff that normally comes with our seasons. We haven't had much of that at all. We've had good coaches in softball and baseball, and everything's been running pretty smooth. Compliments about concession, so I really don't have anything negative. And that's about all I got for right now. Like I said, I have some other things for new business, but that's it for my report. Vice President?
Other than travel ball going good, I believe. Wanting to possibly host another tournament. Maybe some way we can incorporate softball into that, but having some kind of winter bash for travel. Talk to the commissioner about that. Other than that, just gonna look forward to the spring. Got a bunch of new things and new ideas, so hopefully we'll get that kicked off. That's about it.
Okay. Treasurer's report. I'll try to get that for you. She's obviously not here. Baseball Commissioner report.
I don't have a whole heck of a lot. Along the lines of what you already said, we're kind of trying to wrap the season up. Appreciate everybody kind of, putting feelers out and trying to get best possible schedules here for these playoffs with Thanksgiving kind of looming. I know everybody wanted to be done, before then. I'm sure a lot of people are going to be out, that whole week. Like Mike said, the travel part's going well. I think we're all going into our playoffs this week as well. Towards the end of the week. So that's kind of coming to a conclusion there, so to speak. That kind of fall season, at least, even though it kind of just continues really if you want if you wanted to. And then same thing. I'm actually looking forward to the spring because we're this will be the first spring in a while that we're sort of having all these travel players really coming in, from multiple angles and playing in the spring, with all these new travel teams. Bunch of kids that we have, that came from different parks. So they're all going to be kind of injected there into rec ball in the spring, and I expect it to be super competitive because of that. And then obviously the numbers, we had pretty good numbers in the fall, definitely for a fall season, and that's only going to be amplified in the spring. So everything's good, and I think we're gonna have a pretty big spring season. So that's something to look forward to for sure.
Awesome. Softball commissioner report.
Sure. I think overall the rec teams this season appear to be more balanced than they have in the past. We don't have any like blowouts that I've seen. Like, last year we had pretty uneven teams, so we'll attribute that to Tony's new system. But it does seem to be working out where there's no like landslide game after game. So I think that's much better, right, for the girls. It's not the coaching. Yeah, much better. The coaching seems much better. We haven't had one incident that I'm aware of with softball coaches going at it, and that's never happened in past seasons. So people in this room have seen it over and over. We haven't experienced that this season. I think we have a great group of coaches, and that's why. There's a good kind of camaraderie and sportsmanship happening, which is a great example for the girls to see. I've seen some pretty poor sportsmanship in the past, so I'm really proud of the coaches and how they're handling themselves and having fun, and the girls are learning. So Farron conditions have been much better. It looks like they've shut those sprinkler heads off because the puddles are gone. They've actually drugged the fields. I've like jumped up and down as I'm walking up, and I see there's like they've drugged the fields. They're not great. I couldn't host a tournament there yet, but compared to what we had, we can go practice there. Thank you. I really appreciate it. I want to look into providing dates. I've been working with U-Trip. They're willing to completely run a tournament at our park, a pretty large tournament. I've told them I would talk to the board and we'll go over that. I just need to get them the dates. They'll come in, run everything. The proceeds, we can benefit from that several ways, and I'll go over that once I have all the details. But I'm working with Steven Schiller on that. I'm trying to work on doing what I can. I've contacted Gardens, Acreage, like all their numbers are dying, and I'm working on picking up their girls so that we can keep building for spring and we can have a bigger turnout, which we usually do anyways, but I'm hoping to pick up. Wellington might not have enough for, again, I've been talking to them, so I'm going to try to pick up, and at least we'll help by interleaguing. We're having some issues with interleaguing. I have Acreage, sends their 8-year-olds to play our 12U teams, things like that, which is a little out of our control. So I need some guidance in that for next season, so we don't have that continue to happen. Some safety concerns with the coaches calling me. I think that's it. I know that's all. And then I also have been working on getting a lot of feedback from families on how we can. And I have contacted other leagues on how they make travel and rec work, and as far as scheduling and figuring all that out. So I reached out to 4 different leagues to find out how they do it, so I got all kinds of ideas for the future. I think that's it.
Awesome. Secretary's report. And then I wanted to read just go over quickly the travel coordinator report. Before the village. He says field conditions have improved. At Farron, same thing. He's getting people saying that, and he can see it. You guys are working. Cages still need work, but we'll take the positives. And one area he mentioned was lighting on field 2 and 3. Have a couple dark areas. Maybe it's because bulbs are out or something like that.
Yeah, I think all the way around Farron and Willows, there's bulbs out. So when there's downtime, we have to get a work order in. It's not something that our staff can go and do. Um, they have to get the bulbs ordered and get them in. So during the winter, during the downtime, those should be taken care of.
Okay. The only other thing it looks at, he mentioned 14U softball travel team interested in doing Saturday skills clinic for rec softball players. I guess he's going to get with you about that, Amy. And he mentioned the USSSA tournament. You know, it's along the same lines as you. USSSA can bring some recognition plus some funding to our park. That's what he's got as far as the travel softball. And now we have the village report.
So I touched on we got the monthly financial reports and the quarterly reports. The treasurer's not here, so we have to get those. Also, we still do the tax returns and the CPA review. Coming up now, season, I know rosters are set, so we need to get rosters for the entire rec league, rosters and street addresses, so we can do the non-resident maintenance fee, and also the travel team rosters. That way we can get those and have them scanned in. One other thing, and we're doing this to make a mention, to make a point of emphasis with all of our providers, is accident incident reports. So it's something that hasn't been addressed and that we haven't been keeping up with. But one thing we want to start making sure is that when there's accidents or any kind of injury, twisted ankles, things like that, significant injuries, that we want to get accident and incident reports filled out for them. Okay. So I sent you a copy of the form. That way we can just keep a track and keep file. Because if something comes up, something happens, somebody goes, to the hospital, or if anything comes and it comes back over to HR, then we want to be able to have, documentation, that this happened and so we can be aware.
We actually do that, so we can just forward it to you as it
Yeah,
happens.
just forward it to me.
Okay.
That'd be perfect. Other than that, once we get field closures, I know a lot of the conditions at Farron, I know have improved. Like y'all said, we've made a point of emphasis. But once we get a chance to close them, we'll really be able to get in and get some more work leveling and get some more clay in. So, like I said, looking better right now, but we'll really be able to do some work come this winter months. And other than that, that's it.
Awesome.
When
Thank you.
can we make recommendations for some of the fields at Willows?
As far as
Like
repairs?
cutting back, yeah.
Yeah, he'll do a walkthrough with me at the end of the season.
Okay.
And that's how we get the work orders for between the seasons.
Yeah.
You can be president of that if you want. Actually, Amy and Tony and you and me.
Yeah.
Yeah, we walk through them.
A couple fields be good to like cut the grass back a little bit.
Yeah,
We talked
You know
about
what I mean? And then to make the
Big
field a bit kind of bigger, make it nicer.
We can go over that.
Especially on field
Push
like
back.
8.
Okay. Yeah, we'll like I said, afterwards we'll do a walkthrough and anything like that. We'll put it on the list and
If it don't get done and like people like us have the equipment, can we do it ourselves?
no. No, it'll have to be anything as far as cutting side, pushing anything back, and it has to be approved by the director to be able to do.
Okay.
What if it's a company that
It is-
donates the work?
It's still got to go
Yeah.
through.
Yeah, no, but I'm saying if it went through you guys, would you allow a company to donate that?
If they're donating it and it's approved by the director, yeah. But it still has to get approved for it to happen. So
It's a
donations are
process.
always a good thing. It
Yeah.
It's a win-win on everybody's part, but we got to approve it first.
Maybe we can approach that and see our done guy again.
Yeah, walk through though at the end of the year.
Yeah. All right. If everybody's okay, I'd like to make a motion to vote in the reports.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, that's the reports. All right, old business. The concession windows appear to be getting worse. I know we talked about it, and I know that's a work order that's going in between. That's part of the walkthrough we're going to go through.
Yeah.
The concession manager's here. She might have something to say about that. As far as anything else in concession, if you want to be there, you can be there too, just specific to concession. And make a list with Brandon. If you can't be there, go over it with me, and then I'll go over it with him when he comes. Fair and field conditions, we've went over that. And Matt's, as far as
Cages.
oh yeah, cages. We've got like I think a week and a half left, so our walkthrough's coming soon. So that's everybody. If you're not planning on being there and you have any concerns or any ideas, make sure one of us get it so we can bring it up to them during the walkthrough. And I'm sure they're going to get done as much as they can. Obviously, if we give them 100 items, they're going to do as many as they can, and some are going to roll. All right. Does anybody else got anything on concession windows or fair and field conditions? All right, we'll go into new business. On the list here for new business, we have field closure tentative dates. Field closures, did you get a date on that yet, or? And then I know we're talking about tournaments and stuff like that. Amy's got one working. We're talking about a fall, Christmas, end of the year bash thing that we can hopefully do softball and baseball.
Don't you need 60 days for that?
Well, that's what I mean. We need to fire that out, like come up with something fast, or we're gonna
60 days?
run out of time.
Yeah, 60 days. So on
I might have sent an email, but we need to get it done, get it figured out quick.
Well, I change it from winter to like a New Year.
Or we're gonna, it may have to go January, but we need to get something figured out. As soon as we get the field closure dates, we can.
Yeah, 'cause right now tentatively we got them. We got fields closing week of Thanksgiving. It will start off with odd number fields. We'll go odd number fields 6 weeks, and then even number fields 6 weeks. And that should.
Okay.
I don't know about baseball, but with softball, there's already like tournaments every weekend that we're not going to get a lot of numbers, but they end, and I know baseball is a little different, but the softball ends like end of the year. There's nothing starting January, so we could do like
Hit
New
the
Year's.
beginning of January.
At the beginning of January for softball,
Like
at least our
some for
numbers
baseball.
would be higher because people don't have.
When does spring start? End of February.
Yeah, February, March. I think everything starts the end of January, and the league actually start playing games in March.
Take a little break after that.
Yeah, and try to fire something in the beginning of January. And then we have the fall workshop is December 6th, 6 p.m. at the rec center, followed the very next day, Tuesday, December 7th, by our board meeting. That's where I believe Amy's going to bring some stuff for softball, and that's where we go over everything that went good or bad, and we can come up with improvements to make everything better for next season and try to get better every season with what we got. Karen will get that out on social media as far as the workshop, but the workshop isn't, board members and then coaches and everybody. It's just everybody getting together in one spot. It's not formal. It's bring your ideas and let's put a think tank together and see what we can come out with. December 6th at the rec center. I'll make sure Lex sends something to you. See. Did you? Okay.
We need to forward that to all the DDs
Yeah.
because I already sent it to my group. Get it out to the coaches because I had parents that want to be there.
We have the paperwork from Tristan McKenzie's free annual clinic, his camp, January 15th. He's going to have 2 fields in the cages. He does it every year. It's really good. It's something you have to sign up for, I believe. So we'll get that out in social media as soon as we can. If you can, ask the secretary about that as far as what information she has so you can get it all on there. Get it out to as many people as possible. New business. Anybody up here before we open mic?
One thing I think we probably need to plan way ahead, like now. I know it's going to seem extremely early, but equipment took so long to get in last season, and I think it's going to be worse.
It is, you're right.
I think we need to order it like now, and if we have a surplus, okay, so be it. I don't know our financial status, but the equipment is going to it's going to be really difficult to get.
If we can get it.
Especially uniforms and all that stuff.
But if we start now, as far as balls and catcher's gear, because we couldn't find any catcher's gear on a shelf anywhere.
Yeah, it was gone.
So I got some notice today about like sports equipment being in demand and people not being able to find it.
Pitching machines, one for every team. Preferably. Again, we won't know how many uniforms to order yet until we get registration. But
We could still pick up another black pitching machine.
yeah,
To have
I
4.
would say even 2 more. We had 5 teams this year. Assume that we're going to have the travel team become the 6th one at minimum. So I would say plan on that.
So in balls, like we know we need that, like so we could at least get in, so we're not short and have nothing to give.
Yes.
I think we should just do that now with everybody.
I agree.
All right. I'll send something out to everybody, what equipment, so we can get it all, and I can start hitting it, and we can start getting it going now.
Another thing with the equipment too is the turn-in set for the equipment manager. Given the equipment was a headache.
Getting it's even worse.
So we need to set our DDs up to tell our managers, hey, this date, whatever date it is, the equipment manager will be there from A to B. Drop it off. We're gonna go deposit your check.
Well, everything, we need to get that out because, like I said, everything but 12U softball is done the 13th. It's finished.
Well, same with 12U and under too, or 15U too.
That's what I mean. Even 15U is done. Everything's done except for 12U softball. And that was at their request, or it would be done too. So we should be able to put that date out, the 13th. Bring your stuff the 13th, or we're starting to deposit checks.
I would also suggest maybe last game.
Well, that's
you
you
the
want to
teams
say
the
your
trophies
last
right
game,
then and there. Be done with it.
your last
you know.
game. But I'm just saying the final date should be the 13th.
Oh, I
We got
get it.
nothing after that.
But because we talked about somebody being there to hand out the trophies, whoever's there to hand out the trophies can also pick up the equipment at the same time.
We have to remember only the younger divisions, all the teams get trophies. So, like 12 or 10U and up, or 8U, I don't know if they get participation, but they're going to be knocked out beforehand. So it needs to be kind of like last game.
Yeah, so let's get that out
Scenario.
to the DDs as far as last game. Turning your equipment on last game.
Give it to the winner. Team charge of it.
I'll send something out to the baseball DDs.
Okay. Okay, and you'll do softball, Amy? All right. That was awesome about the equipment. All right. I don't think I have anything else. We can open up the mic to whoever wants to say anything about anything.
Press the button.
The light's on.
Yeah.
My kid was put on a team, and I tried to help the coach the first practice, and he said that was way too intense, and so the rest of the practices were done his way. We've had batting cages. We didn't even use them the last 4 times at bat. That we had the cages, there was an empty field, so he wanted to practice. Prime example, last night we lost 17-3 in 4 innings. The Acreage team has been beat by the other two 12U teams. They ruled them every time they played them. We beat them by 1 run. And it was a nail biter. The 8-year-old team that you're talking about we played, we only beat them by 5. 5 guys. And I got 14-year-old girls on this team.
Do you think that's
The coach
the
didn't
coaching
know,
or the players?
the coach does not know what a drop 3 was. He did not know that you could steal on a walk. You could go run to second. He had no clue. Last night, my daughter caught a foul ball in foul territory and fired the ball home because the girl ran home and he was screaming, "You can't go." She caught the ball. The ball's in foul territory. You can't run on a foul ball. Come on.
So this is
This is a guy that has no instruction. Nobody tried to see if he had any instruction, if he knew anything about the game. When the kids know more than the coach does, there's a problem.
So it sounds like it's the coaching. It's not the skill level of the
No,
player.
it's a skill level also.
Is it?
Only because he drafted all the girls he had on his 10U team last season, and none of them were all-star players. So if you draft 5 girls off your 10U team that didn't even make all-stars, what kind of team do you have? Think about it. But anyway, and then like Amy said, I mean, the schedule, you come up and you're playing 8U team, I mean, come on. It's ridiculous. We played 2 Saturdays now, 3 o'clock. There's no concession. We're the redheaded stepchildren. There's nobody there but us. Parents are pissed.
Yeah, that has to do with the scheduling, which will be fixed because there was a 2-hour window from the game before yours to yours with nobody at the field.
Well, there was a game right before ours. We had to wait for him to leave the field. But anyway, then another thing is, and I've talked to you about this, you guys got a guy over there getting money, teaching kids how to bat. He's there taking a batting cage. My team comes in trying to warm up before a game. I can't get in there because the other softball team's in there, a baseball team's in there, and he's in there. He has no business being in there. When we're in there trying to practice before a game, he could be there on Sunday, there's no games. He could be there on Friday, there's no games. But during the week, on Saturdays when there's games going on, he has no business being in there. I don't care what you guys say. It almost got ugly. I almost got to the point last night where I was going to just walk in his cage, tell him he had to get his ass out of there. And I've already talked to you about this, and you told me you were going to take care of it. You didn't.
I can't take care of it in a week.
It wasn't a week. That was 3 weeks ago, Glenn. 3 weeks ago.
Okay, first of all, he doesn't have to not be in there during the week because the batting cages only need to be used from 5:30 to 6:30. Then all of the games start, so he can go in after 6:30.
Well, that's right, but he wasn't. He was there before 5 o'clock because when I got there at 5:30,
he's there all the time.
when I was there at 5:30, I couldn't get in.
And about half of the kids he does for free.
That's not the point.
It is the point. It absolutely is the point.
Half the kids he does for free. This is a rec league.
Right.
So when your team's trying to practice, how are you going to practice if he's in there?
I agree with you. It's a problem I have to solve. But
He
he's
can't-
helping our league.
He can't be, well, he can help, but he can't be helping when we're supposed to be in there.
I can resolve that with scheduling. I have to talk to him about it, and I have to get it done.
Because Ed and I've had a problem with him before. We had a problem again last night. Like I said, Saturdays. And you got other coaches that are waiting to get in there. So if I do get my team in there, I have to get them out as quick as I can because I know there's another team that has to warm up also.
He's going to have no problem not being there from 5:30 to 6:30 whenever we need it.
Well, that part's got to be taken care of. Like I
Yeah,
said.
it will be. It will be. And he's not going to have an issue with it. I have to work on Saturday. I haven't figured that one out yet. Maybe he doesn't do it on Saturday. I can't figure out a solution for both working on Saturday, but he has the spot because he's giving as much as he's taking.
Well, I know like when Damage used to do the same thing, they kicked Damage out.
Damage was not doing the same thing,
Damage was working with kids that,
but they didn't do anything for free.
oh, yeah, he was doing kids for free.
No, he wasn't.
Yeah, he was. Because I can name 4 of them that he did for free.
Well, I can name a lot that he didn't.
But like I said, you can't be collecting money, and that's another thing. If he's collecting money for doing this, is he chartered through the village?
He's
Because,
part of our coaching corner on our website. He's part of our league.
but is he collecting money? 'Cause
Yeah,
if you
he's
collect
collecting money
then
for
you're
lessons.
if you collect money, you're a vendor. Just like if you sell ice cream, you're a vendor.
They know, the village
Right.
knows everything we have going on. If it's not a clinic with multiple kids where we have to rent fields and stuff like that, he's part of our coach's corner.
Well, what I'm saying is,
The rec kids are already paying to play that he's coaching,
he's also coaching travel players, right?
who pay to play, who
That's
we
what I'm
pay
saying.
them for the field.
But he's getting paid.
Yes.
Does any other coach get paid? No.
There's a lot of coaches that get paid in softball and baseball to come out and give lessons to the kids. They always have, even when you were up here behind this side.
No.
Yes,
No.
they've always done it.
No. No, just go back to Chris Birch. There was guys that he wouldn't even allow on the field when there was nobody on the fields because they were making money.
Because they weren't part of our league. They were doing nothing for free. They were giving nothing back.
Yeah, the pitching coach was doing a bunch of kids. He did them for free.
Then Chris Birch should have let him do it if he's
But
helping
he
the league.
also had kids that he was doing that were paying to go. I'm just saying it's got to be the same for everybody. It's
It
got to be the
absolutely
same.
is.
But like I said, that the teams, somebody has to pick the coaches and make sure the coaches know what's going on.
That piece I agree with, and that might be, I can look at that. I haven't been here as long as you have, so the older coaches, 12U, 14U, I don't know them, and I don't know what they know and don't know. I do remember begging you to coach because I know you know, because I couldn't find coaches for 12U and 14U. I didn't have anybody, so at the end I had one person that came and asked me, and at that point where I'm scrambling, I don't have any coaches. I wasn't going to tell them no. And
Oh.
I know they coached the year before. I asked him that. I said, have you coached? And he said, yes. So at that point, I don't know that he doesn't know what a drop third is, right? That's just something I'm going to have to learn as I get to know everybody here also.
Yeah, I just thought it was strange that he's coaching and he doesn't know the rules of the game. I mean, come on.
I agree with you. I think,
But
though,
usually there's a coaches clinic ahead of time.
There
You know
was.
what I mean?
Whether it's not mandatory, though.
But
so-
that's what I'm saying. Maybe it has to be mandatory, especially if you're moving up to a new division.
Well, yeah, but I mean, in all fairness, I went from 8U to 10U, and I took it upon myself to read the rules. So it's not.
But everybody's not like you and me.
I get that, but
Yeah, like is there more like incentive we can give these coaches? Like, is there? I mean, I kind of agree. I wouldn't want my daughter on a team that there was no coach didn't know what he was doing.
What would you do if your daughter was on that team?
I would probably
You do the
coach
same thing
them
I
or
do.
take my daughter off the team.
No, you do the same thing I do. That's not right. It's not right to the other girls. You go, you still play, you tell your daughter to do her best.
I
You
think
try to help
would've-
the girls
I
as
would have brought
best
it
you
up to
can,
the board
but-
a long time ago.
I wouldn't have been put in
and
that situation.
got him out of the
You would
way.
coach. I would coach.
Yeah, you
Just I
coach.
wouldn't be put in that situation.
Well, that's what I'm saying. You can't take over the managers. He's the guy in charge.
so
You know what I mean? So
Probably
he
shouldn't have been
says-
there in the first place. That's what I'm saying.
He says, okay, we're not doing it that way. It's too hard on the girls. Me and him had many confrontations, believe me.
I understand.
Can I take something for a second? I get what you're saying, Martin, and I think something like this, if it was presented earlier in the season, one of the other coaches, me or someone else, could have went and helped. I'm assuming Ariel you're talking about. I think you coach with Ariel, and we could have presented because like this season, my first 3 weeks, I had 2 teams. I was doing double practices to help another coach along, and I think in the future maybe we need to reach out to all the managers and any ones that are new that need that help. I thought we had it covered. I don't know what Ariel knows. He's helped me coach before, but I know he's not. Some of that stuff I thought he knew, but we need to take care of that in the beginning of the season and maybe reach out to all the managers that aren't necessarily comfortable or ones that are moving up into their next division to make sure they know the rules. And that's something that's going to fall on us to the commissioners and down the line to work forward and help them the best we can. Because yeah, that sucks getting beat like that. I understand
Well,
that.
I
The
mean,
girls aren't learning. And
Getting beat has nothing to do with it.
well,
Because Ed and I last year, we lost every game during the season.
yeah, but
We ended up winning the championship.
you got better though.
But yeah, but
That's
we
what
only lost by 1 or 2 every game, not 17-3.
Yeah.
Not
I
beating
hear-
an
I hear
8-year-old
you.
team by 5 runs.
But yeah, we had just as an example, we had a similar situation with an 8U team where there was a guy that had no clue what he was doing, and there were a couple fathers on the team that had been assistant coaches before, and they kind of raised the issue up, and I addressed it directly with the guy. I was like, hey, like, what's going on over there? And he he made it easy because he was like, I'm out. I think he was fed up, of hearing it, but we replaced him. Like, this was like 2 or 3 weeks into the season. I mean, it was quick. So I think if we know early enough, we can have an opportunity to try to correct it.
Well, unfortunately, like I said, he took 5 girls off his
Can't we
tenure
pick the
team,
coaching?
and they're all family. They're all friends.
Yeah.
And so you got 5 sets of parents that all think that he's great, even though he never. You played against him 10U last year, didn't you?
Yeah. Ariel's coached with me. He's helped
Coach
me.
with you
Yeah, he's
or against you?
both.
And
He was a volunteer that was willing to take a spot.
that's not what I'm asking
And-
you. I'm asking you how good was he in 10?
Well,
Anyway.
when I
Anyway, I'm just
when
saying.
I run my teams, I run my team. My assistant coaches are there to help me catch balls and stuff.
That's
I
basically
run
what
my
my
show.
situation is.
I've never
here.
seen him in a manager position. When he's been out there with me, I direct what my coaches do. So him not knowing that stuff, I didn't know he didn't know that stuff.
Well, like I said, I went out there. I tried to help him the first time. He said it was too intense, and he changed everything and did it his way from that. And like he's the manager, and just like you say, he runs the team. Who am I? I can't step up and say no, you're not doing it right.
But future,
Next season, you could take a team then. I tried to
didn't
get you
have
through
time
this.
to be a manager. That's the problem. I was just barely able to help coach.
you can
I,
squeeze
I
it
get
in.
it, but my daughter started here, and a man coached her team, and he looked, and he said to everybody, "I've never played baseball, and I don't really know much about it." And he was serious, so that's when I started coaching. So I don't know, I'll try to look a little more into what the coaches
That's
know.
all I'm saying. I'm just saying it's just something that the board needs to look at, who you put in certain positions, and make sure they know what's going on. Or at least if they're moving into a new division, that they do study the rules. 'Cause you got to know the
I
rules.
agree with that. Thank you.
Now survey number 2.
I'd like to start off by saying last year I should have probably came to the December 6th thing, a little forum, brought some needs to you guys. They were addressed. The teams this year were great. Both coaches, I helped coach. That was one of your things you said to me, Glenn. You got a problem? Get in there. So help Alex. We had a great season. The other coach, Coach Kelly on EU softball, was great. We got along. Some of the parents on their side were a little whatever, but we got along. As far as the problems that I have now would be scheduling. All of our games are Saturday at noon. It's not fair. The girls take a second hand to the boys. The girls take a second hand to the boys at field conditions and on scheduling every time. You want to build the girls softball up, we got to start treating them equal. So they're there. They want to learn. They want to have fun. But you can't hold a practice. And again, we found the problem. I guess it was a sprinkler head. They fixed it late in the season. It did get fixed, but season's already over. So we literally couldn't hold a practice for 3 or 4 weeks in a row. And it was just cages and hitting. So that would be the the biggest, I guess, complaint if we can work on scheduling, give some time to the girls on both fields, both sides. And field-wise, in the beginning we were on one field. I don't know the numbers. I'm sorry, but we were on a super tiny field, and then the next game we were on a super long field. Now we're doing coach pitch. I'm not a professional pitcher. Sorry, Alex, you're not a professional pitcher. Um, but we go from one field to another and trying to be accurate with these girls and be fair to them. It's terrible. That was a complaint I asked the other Kelly tonight. I was like, hey, I'm coming here. What are some of your complaints? And that was their number one complaint, would be changing fields so much. If we can start off on the small field and then transition to the big field, because we were 8U, but we were really 6U. We were 6U with a couple 8U players.
Right.
It was all T-ball. So starting those little girls on the small field was great, but once the big girls started hitting and getting used to it, it was better to transition to the big field, safety-wise, because I can't put, we can't put our little ones at pitcher on that small field when they're right there, and an 8U girl gets up and cranks it right at them.
Are you talking about during games? Your games have switched fields or just practice?
No, games. So one weekend where
Yeah, you were on field 7, and then you must have
Then
went
you're
to
on field
field
8.
1. I thought field 7 we moved the pitching rubber back to the. Did that not get moved
Yeah, we
back?
moved it.
it might have got changed later on. In the beginning, it was different.
Okay,
Yeah, it got moved.
okay. I just want to make sure that's.
Got moved.
Seems
Yeah,
better,
you're-
but it's running the bases and doing it's the whole. It's very different, one field to the other, and I might be wrong, but it seemed like it was depending on what boys teams were playing. What was going on.
I hear you.
The other thing was Phipps. I don't know. They were great competitors, but they had like 16 kids, and then they're playing double headers with a bunch of 5-year-olds, and they were done after the second game.
They called me about that.
Yeah, so I don't. We ended up canceling one of our games just because they didn't want to play 2 games in a row. So I don't know, scheduling wise, if we can figure. It's hard to figure out and depend on what another league's going to do and play
Right.
interleague. It's great to have other teams, but if we can try it out, see what they're at, and get with them, maybe go back and forth a little more. I don't know.
We can work on that. Amy will work on that, and I'll work on the scheduling and trying to bring everything so it's more fair for baseball and softball, because we want
'Cause
both
it'd be nice to
programs to
practice
succeed.
at Willows
Yeah.
some nights too.
Yeah.
Practice where you play.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
So,
We'll work on that.
but I want to say thank you for addressing the issues from last season.
Oh, no problem, man.
Trying to improve it every season.
That's what we're trying to do, man.
Yeah. Thank you.
Karen? Anybody else? All right.
As far as the incident reports, is that something that's going to be at the concession stand?
Yes.
And then it's the coach's responsibility to fill that out and keep it and get it to a board member or get it to the concession stand?
It goes back to the concession stand, I believe. That's how we've been doing it. Yeah. Yeah, they're sitting in there in a box.
Yeah. I mean, nothing's came up that I know of.
Anything, yeah, we have the documentation, so if anything goes forward, we pull that out, but now we're gonna, when it happens, we'll make a copy and send it straight.
That's like out of the game kind of injury, right? Nothing.
Well, I know, yeah, out of the game, at practice, whatever. When there's an incident, basically, if someone comes against the bad guys, we want to know why they got the bad guys. You know what I'm saying? What is it? Yes.
That's Danny, and there's been a struggle getting umpires. We're working on that. That's why you've seen my son doing 12U.
Yeah.
So, but
I've been an advocate of getting our umpires back to Royal Palm, because we had our own umpire, we had our own chief, and all of our umpires came from within our league, and it was awesome, and I loved it, and I loved seeing the kids growing up and watching them for years. All of a sudden they're umpiring on 15U. I'm like, oh, this is cool. But apparently, the last board I was part of it, and that got taken away, and our chief umpire resigned, and it went over to Danny. I honestly believe that Danny's probably doing the best he can, but his interest is Okeechobee because that's his home field. I've always said it. I can guarantee you almost they're never short umpires.
Even Okeechobee, Tony's on 3 games there now because they're short umpires. Like
I'm not
it's an
saying-
issue right now.
Yeah, I'm not saying that it doesn't happen to them. I'm saying they're not
But-
short because of us. Is what
No,
I'm saying.
yeah, I
No,
agree.
you know what I mean? So I've been an advocate of that, but there is a shortage of umpires. I don't know if they get the same thing that's going on with unemployment pay or what, but it's not. It's hard to get them. It's hard to get them. If we could ever get somebody to step up and start recruiting and that can come back in-house, I would love it. And if Danny's watching this, I'm sorry, but that's how I feel. I felt that way. But yes, the umpires has been an issue. And it will be. I'll try to address that too. That's like an ongoing thing. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was like. Yes, that happened. That's why Amy's suggestion to start now is super important because we started the normal time you would before the season started, right? We ordered everything, and to be honest, we got it. When did we get over baseballs? Like 2 weeks ago?
Yeah.
Yeah, I got my 60 dozen baseballs like 2 weeks ago after I'd spent 4 trips to Superstar, to buy 12 dozen balls. So it's something that, just like Amy suggested, we need to get on all of our equipment right now, and I still can't guarantee we're not going to be short. But yes, it is. That has happened, and one of the times we did grab the umpire because he got the wrong balls and come back, like you said, because he brought the big ones to the one field and the little ones to the other. But reality is, a bunch of the times we were having to use coaches' balls, that they had in their bucket that left over because there was a shortage, and it's still going on right now.
Yeah, they're in the containers off of California
I
right
don't know
now.
where they're at, but they're not here. But yes, thanks for bringing it up, Martin. Has anybody got anything else? Alex, you good? All right. I guess I'll make a motion to end the meeting. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Thank you.